Okay, my name's Zakashi, guys, and you're here because you want to know the best teams and equipment for the new Legends Limited Super 17. You already know this Super 17 super cracked. Nobody can beat him when he's Super 17.
Nobody can beat me when I'm Super 17.
So I'm gonna help you guys so you can build the best team, and of course, like I said, I'm gonna help you also grind the best equipments. That's all there is to say. There's no point of having a long intro. Let's get into the video now. Right, so the first team that we got in this video is GT. GT is obviously the whole campaign. It is what's up and coming, and this is the GT team that I've been using Super 17 on. So we've got Super 17 as the main unit, obviously on leader slot. Then we've got the Kid GT Goku, whose banner is also on right now. It's quite difficult to kind of pick and choose both of them, especially if you're free to play, but having both of them is actually very useful. Then we've also got Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta G4 at Zenkai 7. He's very valuable. The EX Kid Goku is there because he is a HP buffer. Then we got double Zenkai buff for the Super 17 we got here the Kid GT Goku. So let me just show you that his Zenkai ability is for GT strike attack. Ideally it'd be better to have blast attack, but you take what you can get. When it's a Zenkai buff, it goes all the way, and just because Omega Shenron's new, the GT's Zenkai buff isn't Zenkai ability 4 yet, so just bear that in mind. But there is a couple others that you could have, but I'm going to show you the character list right now, so your options on GT. So if we look at blue, right, just if you want a Zenkai buff, the Kid GT Goku, you can use the blue Namek, so the Legend Limited Goku. You guys will know he's Zenkai'd, so he has a Zenkai buff for Saiyan and blue. Let me actually take this off so I can show you specifically who I'm talking about. This one here, he's Zenkai buffs the GT Kid Goku if you wanted to use him. But let's go back to GT, let's stay on target. If you wanted to use green, we got G4, but you could use Tag 4s as well. But the Zenkai buff, you could use Super Saiyan 4 Goku here. He'd actually be pretty good because he's blast based, so he would help Super 17 in that sense. And then you'd be giving the Zenkai buff to your green unit, which in this case is G4. Super 17 over here also has a Zenkai buff for GT, so that would work. But the Z ability is defense, so which is not as good as you'd like, but it's still useful. Going into purple, you can use obviously Bulla, Vegeta assist. They're very good, actually a super good support unit. I recommend getting at least 7 stars or higher if you're going to use them though. And then you could Zenkai buff them using Super Saiyan 4 Goku over here, GT Zenkai buff with purple. Then you can see the Z ability strike based as well. And then if we're going into yellow, you could use Trunks and Pan, but really and truly with this new Super 17, I'd suggest just going blue, green and red. It's way more ideal. But Trunks and Pan, Trunks, Giru is obviously an option, and then 4Q as well. I believe Zenkai buffs, let me see what the Zenkai buff is. It's saying it's not so the Zenkai buff wouldn't apply for a Pan, just bear that in mind. A lot of them are GT, but then that one is just saying it's kind of like what the hell. But anyways, the red is obviously going to be Super 17. You don't want to use anybody else, it's going to be him undoubtedly. Now I think I saw as well somebody was running Super 17, and there was another Zenkai buff option which was 8 Vegeta. Let me just find him because I do not use him, so I don't even know where he is in my box. Let me try to just find him quick. There he is. If you go to the Zenkai for him, I think it might be Powerful Opponent, which is actually super useful. Yeah, so that would actually work for Super 17 as a Zenkai buff option. And if we're looking at the Z ability, it's Saiyan, and if you look at most of GT anyways, it's Saiyan. So we've got Kid GT Goku, and we've got Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta as well, so that would work as a Zenkai buff option if you didn't want to use, or you didn't have Omega Shenron or the Kid this Goku here, on top of the fact that 8 Vegeta also has a really good Z ability. So that's just things you want to factor in when you're considering how you're going to build your team. But this is what I'd run, this is what I am running. So that's the first team we got for this video. It's going to be GT. It's a very good team. It's actually super good. Endurance is with the Kid Goku. I didn't even mention that, but yeah. Team number 1 for this video, GT. Team number 2 for this video, we got Fusion Warriors. Fusion Warriors, I'd say, is probably the 3rd best team that you could use this new Super 17 on, but I'll show you what the idea is here. So you're using Super 17 and you know blues are going to be type advantage against him, so you're running double green Pycon Gogeta, which is a good revival layer, the protective layer for your team. And you got G4 to do damage as well. You got 2 ultimates, he's tanky himself. Green card destroys the enemy's cards. And then your double Zenkai buffing Super 17 with Red Vegito and Super Gogeta. If you go into Red Vegito, you can see the Zenkai buffs over here. So it's 20% because he's free to play, but the Z ability is pretty good, and he's on leader slot, so he's getting the whole thing. And if you look at Super Gogeta over here, the Z ability same way, and the Zenkai buff there for Fusion Warrior Red, but it's a full one because he's a regular sparking, right? And then you go over here with the G4 Zenkai buff, which actually works for Pikkon and Gogeta, so it's really some good synergy going on right here. SV, if you're wondering why he's here at 14 stars, he has a HP buff, which is very useful. He does Zenkai buff for Purple and Saiyan, but you're not running any Purple Saiyans. But we're going to go through some options that you could have for the team as well. Super 17, make sure to have him on the leader slot because he does not buff, Fusion Warriors at all. So if I show details, display maximum stats, press yes, then I go to the ability, you see Fusion Warriors is not involved, so you need to make sure to have him on the leader slot. And if the whole team is Fusion Warriors, say if you wanted to use an Ultra, it would still be 6 Fusion Warriors, allowing the Ultra ability to be at its maximum capacity. But yeah, let's go to the character list. If we're looking at the blues, don't use a blue on Fusion Warriors, just don't. If we're going into greens, you want to consider G4 and Pikkon. I'm using both because the green covers the red because the blue exists. So yeah, if we're looking at purple, UGB is pretty much your only option, but I've got SV as a HP buff. Going back to green, by the way, this guy here, he actually Zenkai buffs Pikkon, but he doesn't Zenkai buff G4. So just in case you don't have G4 and you want to Zenkai buff Pikkon, this guy's an option for Pikkon, just putting that out there. Going into yellow, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks can be used as a HP buff. A lot of people do use him, but SV is better, which is what I'd recommend. But if you don't have SV at 14 stars, then you could use, of course, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Then we also have the Fat Gotenks here, who I think is pretty washed. I wouldn't recommend using him, but he is the option there available. Then red, obviously you got Super 17, but you do also have Ultra Vegeta Blue. I wouldn't recommend running 2 reds because the blues really squash these reds. Tanky as well, you can't really break through, especially at this point. I only have Super 17 at 3 stars, so I would advise running 2 greens over 2 reds. But if you want to have fun with the counters, of course, red VB and then Super 17, they both have good green card counters that would be very, very useful in PvP. I'd say pretty much that's it. There's not much I'd go about considering outside of this Fusion Warrior team that I've built. If you're not using this one, I'd say pretty much for the most part, maybe reconsider even using Fusion Warriors, because the issue with Fusion Warriors is you have to have the specific build to use the team at maximum efficiency. Before, it wasn't even this, it was like UVB instead of Super 17, but Super 17 just slams. Like, he's so much better, especially right now. So yeah, that's the second team I'm mentioning for this video. We got Fusion Warriors. The third team that we've got in this video is actually Androids. Androids, I'd say, is probably top 1 or top 2 teams that you could run Super 17 on, because Androids is fully blast based and the equipments they have are insane. But let's look at the team here. So we got Gamma 1 and 2 on the leader slot. We got Android 17, you already know how insane he is. Then we've obviously got Super 17, and everybody except LL MVP 17 has a Zenkai buff. So the Gammas are getting Zenkai buff by this Cell, I believe. If you go to his Zenkai ability, you can see it's yellow and Android. And then if we go to Fusion 13 over here, he's also Zenkai buffing the Super 17, who we're interested in the Z abilities, strike and blast attack for Fusion 13. So overall, this team can work, but I'd recommend getting Gammas up a couple stars. My Gammas are on the highest stars, but this isn't the only team you can build. So let's look at the other options now available for the team. If we go to the character list, if we're looking at blue, if you don't have 17, don't run a blue. But if you do want to Zenkai buff him, even though it's pretty whack, there's free to play here, Z ability for Android, and then the Zenkai buff for Androids too. Just putting it out there. Going into green, there are options, I'm not going to lie, but I wouldn't use them. This girl here, Android 21 good, can actually be super good. What I like about her is that I believe her ultimate locks in, no switching if there is one battle member. So I think at all stages, actually, no, 2 battle members, there's no switching. So it's just useful in general, the fact that it can lock in. I really like that. And she gets +1 cover change when she used the main ability, which is dope. So she's just overall decent. But a lot of people also like to use Magenta. He's a sleeper, I'm not going to lie. People forget that he has the Android tag because of Cell Max, of course, but he's also a sleeper too. He has the AoE death buffs, which is death damage, sorry, which is good. If we're looking at purple, the one you would replace the Gammas with, so I'm gonna say for a fact that LL MVP 17 and Super 17 must stay on the team. But if you want to take off the Gammas, here we got perfect form Cell. You know, he's the newest android besides from Super 17. Lots of people love using him. He is melee orientated, if I believe. Oh, you know, he's a range type actually. That's good. I see a lot of people using him on like Future, so I assumed, but that's my fault. I don't be using Cell. I only got him in the festival anyways. He's also good as well. He has explosive green, which is very valuable, of course, and you know that when he dies, he has the AoE damage as well, so that's good. And then for red, of course, we've got Super 17, and even though I don't have these characters, I wouldn't recommend using them. If you want another Zenkai buff option, this girl, she's free to play, but another Zenkai buff for Super 17 is not as good as Fusion 13, which I've already shown you. There's not much more I'd show, like it's pretty much just this. I'm going to be running this team, but I'm working on my equipment. I'm going to work on them and actually get good Android equipment, because I feel like I could really have a decent Android team. But hey, this is number 3 here. We got Androids. We're going to get into the equipments now, and this first equipment here we've got for GT. I'll slow them down so you can count them this time. I felt like I read that wrong, but I didn't. The first slot is HP, which is good, but you're going to get Blast Attack, Strike Attack, and Pure Blast Attack and Strike Attack when there's GT and Tag Fusion Warriors about. Remember, that's basically both of the tags that represent the new 17. So yeah, how you can get this is by dual coins, and it's the only place, unfortunately, but it's a really good equipment depending on what team you're running. Even if you're not running GT specifically, if you're just using one GT member and 17s on the team, and maybe you're not using one other, this equipment could fit the piece to actually give the buffs, you know. So as long as the unit's GT, this can work, and you can get it from the dual coin shop. Legends ranking equipment, just very consistent in general. Over here we got the Blast one, the range type, because he's a range type. You can get Blast Attack on every single slot, so that's about 15%, 50%, 50%, that's 45%. And how you can get it from the Legends ranking exchange shop, you need the memory, then you awaken the equipment. I was gonna say upgrade, but you awaken the equipment, then you upgrade the awakened version accordingly. You can see I've got 3 red slots. Quite tedious, but you'll be working towards it. If you're running Pycon and Gogeta, this equipment could also work. It's for Fusion Warriors and sagas from the movies, but because Super 17 is a Fusion Warrior, on Fusion Warriors this equipment can be useful. So you can see base health, then you can get Pure Blast and Strike the same way I showed you with the previous equip, but instead of Strike Attack you get defenses. So depending on the build you're going for, this equipment could be useful. But just if you're using Pycon and Gogeta, if you're not using Pycon and Gogeta, this probably won't work for you, so just ignore it. But if you are, which in most cases if you're using Fusion Warriors you will be, this equipment is useful. But unfortunately the only place you can get is the co-op dual coin shop, so you're gonna have to grind co-op. But hey, it's very good, so hey, you do what you gotta do. I feel like this equipment is a must. Your divine power is not looking so wondrous now. You can see you get strike defense and blast defense, and you also get strike attack here 30% at max. Base health and ultimate damage, you know he has 2 ultimates, so that's very useful. And as for Fusion Warrior Reds, I run this all the time on Ultra Vegeta Blue, but now it's Super 17's time. How you can get this is from the Ultimate Equipment Collection, which is a great thing, because if it was in the dual coin shop you might want to lose your hair. But yeah, Ultimate Equipment Collection, you just grind it using energies and skip tickets. The bonanza's on right now, so make sure to make use of this. This is like the based equipment for GT, but I wouldn't say it's specifically good for him because it's strike orientated. But if you're giving him Zenkai buffs, this could work, because the main thing you'd want is the health restoration. He does have health restoration in his kit, so you might want to heal back a lot more, and if you get 10% out of that, that could be useful. But just in case you want this, you can get it from the Ultimate Equipment Collection for the normal GT section, specifically because the health restoration, not the strike attack. But if you run Zenkai buffs, it can just balance out regardless, so you don't need to stress too much, and it has defenses. So just again, Ultimate Equipment Collection for this equipment here. Now if you specifically want to zone in on blast attack, this is the equipment for you. So you see the Awakened Reborn number 1, you get blast defense and strike defense. So blast defense, strike defense at the top, and then strike defense in the middle. You get pure blast. Now most equipments give you 12%, and you begin like maybe 10% strike or blast damage, whatever it is, right? Especially the new plats nowadays. But this one will give you 15% pure if you're running Fusion Warriors, and you get 15% base as well, which is super good. But then you lose out on the potential strike that you could get. So it depends on how you want to go about it. Do you only want him to do blast damage? And if you do, then this equipment is useful, but he does get a lot of blast arts, so this equipment could actually just take him over a notch, you know, so you could do way more damage. But if you want the unawakened version, because you're going to need it, so of course the awakened version you get the memory from the Zenkai Ultra Space and Rush shop, it's always there. But if I actually go to confirm, I go to equipment, I go to archive, then what you're going to want to do is change the filter here, and I believe it's just Fusion, not Fusion Warrior for the unawakened version, but I might be wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. So let's go to Fusion Warrior so we can get that real quick. Here we go. it's there. You can see the awakened version, but the unawakened version you want here, Fusion Warrior green, and then you can get it from the Z medal and the equipment medal exchange shops. The newest equipment available from the co-op, you can get it in the exchange shop as well for dual coins, but you can see you can get base strike defense, base blast defense, and what's good about it is that it fits on GT, powerful opponents, and androids. Now I didn't include powerful opponents in this video because I feel in general it's kind of like mixing with already androids, and I think powerful opponents on its own would mess him up quite a bit, so I didn't actually include that team. I think it's one of the weaker teams. But if you're running androids and you have this, you can get 12% for strike and blast attack, which is what you're going to want. So I'm gonna have to grind this equip so that I can really help my fellow androids out. It's going to be quite useful. But yeah, like I just told you, the dual coin shop and the co-op on right now, make sure to play if you want the best results for your androids, but it could also work for your GT members and powerful opponents. Even though I just showed you that previous equip, it depends on how you want to go about it. So if you want more strike defense, or if you're not running specifically androids, then the other one would be better. But this one here, if you're running specifically androids, you can get more offenses, so you can see 12% for each. I can get base blast attack 12% and pure 12% for each, which is good. But you can also get special move and health restoration, which is also just very valuable in general. So I think I'm definitely going to grind up this equipment, especially with the way 17 works. This is kind of a must have if you're going to be running androids. It gives androids a higher potential ceiling, man. High potential ceiling. You can get this from the dual coin shop, which is also something I just didn't mention. This is going to be the last equipment I mentioned, but it's a new one that's awakened. So you can see you get health restoration and ultimate damage, which is two things that are super valuable for him. You also get an HP, and not the usual 10%, you can get 12%, which is good. And then you also get strike attack and blast attack, 20% of each in the middle slot, and it's for GT android, which is specifically super 17. That also does work for the purple 17, but this is specifically for super 17, let's be for real. And you can get this memory from the Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush shop, of course, but you're going to want the unawakened version, which is unfortunately not on this page, so I'm going to actually have to find where it is. GT Android, I believe it's just going to be GT. If I actually go to GT, where is it? There we go. And then you see it right here. GT melee type, health restoration, strike attack, and health. The unawakened version stinks, but you can get it from the full power medals, which is actually quite rare. I've never really grinded equipment from there. But then equipment medals as well, which is quite a common shop. But yeah, man, that's going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it was helpful. I always do this for the new Legends Limited so that you guys can have the best odds in building whatever team that you want to build. Of course, it is still RNG when you're grinding your equipments, but if you can build the team more than anything, you'd be able to go out there and have some real fun in PvP, because PvP gets quite serious, I'm not going to lie. But of course, if you haven't already, make sure to press that subscribe button, man. We're on this grind to 100,000 subscribers. We're very close and we're gunning for it this year. But I appreciate you guys for watching this video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.